All right, team. I have the honors of reading the first question. And the question is, as we crunch our salads, if Amherst is a racetrack, what would be the prize at the end of the race? If Amherst is a racetrack, what would be the prize at the end of the race?
This is a nice looking salad, isn't it? I'm going to enjoy the salad.
Let's start the salad. We'll find what it is.
Next question.
When I hear the idea of a race and a prize, even though this isn't my actual opinion, like what immediately comes to mind is first place, and therefore a sense of superiority and the idea of being better than someone else. Mm-hmm. So, to kind of put another question on that, is that what some people are racing for? The idea of to become better than other people or to prove themselves better?
I think an alternative view is, when you think of a track, it's a loop. It comes back on itself. So when you say the end of the race, that means you set a distance that you're agreeing to, but at the same time you're looping back to the beginning. So I think you can also view it that way, that it's a continuous without end, even though you may set endpoints to measure to see where you're at. It doesn't necessarily, I don't think when you measure necessarily that it's superiority versus not. It could be, but I think you could also measure progress, or where are we at this point in time. If the different lanes represent different things we're trying to achieve, then it could be our progress against each of those different things at various points in time. So that's a different view to that metaphor, I guess.
I'm troubled by the running, just running, thinking of a race and movement, and so it makes me think of not being able to sit still, enjoy what we have around us, really be thoughtful about what's around our surrounding environment, and enjoying one another and a lot of things. So when I hear about a race and a prize, it makes me worry.
Well, it seems competitive. It seems competitive. So if we got right away the whole idea of what, who wins then, or who, so we got to have a bunch more losers because one person wins the race. Now, sometimes we have runs where we celebrate everybody's completing the race or the run. That I could get a little more behind that sort of idea, but I think there's sort of a play on words here that we're dealing with as well, and so that confuses me. So we're going to play it. It's not. Are we talking about race? Are we talking about a race, or what that means, and so it's a little confusing to me.
I can second the motion with Rand when it says if Amherst is a racetrack. My whole point was, first of all, what would be the purpose of the race?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
In order to arrive at any given destination, you first got to have a purpose.
Yeah.
So what would be the purpose of the race? And if we knew what the purpose of that race was, we would very easily be able to determine what the prize would be at the end.
There you go.
So without knowing the beginning, it's kind of hard to say, what our expectations would be at the end. So what would be the purpose of the race?
Well, to say Amherst is the race track, would that not make the community the runners in the race?
That just sounds like the location of the race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amherst is the location of the race.
Okay.
What would be the purpose of the race in order to determine what would the gift be at the end?
Well, there are two ways that I kind of see this, to answer your question. The two people, or the two groups of people that could decide what the purpose of the race is one, the runners themselves, or the people organizing the race. And if it's up to the runners, which it usually isn't, then the runners have full control on who's running the race. But if it's up to the people who organize the race, then the question that I'm wondering is who is organizing the race?
And is everybody starting in the same place, right? So everybody's starting in the same place. And are they being manipulated just to follow your lead? Who's got the power to set the rules? Who's got the power to set why, and going back to the purpose?
Right, absolutely.
So.
I, on the other end, am looking at being from Amherst. I look at it as a race to get back together as a community, Because for me, somehow we've gotten off track. So for me, I'm looking at how can we work together as a community to get to that prize. When they say keep your eye on that prize, I'm hoping that I can keep my eye on the prize where I could keep my family here, that my boys will want to come back to Amherst. So that's a prize that they will have the same idea to say, I live in New York, I live in New Jersey. It is a prize. This is where I grew up, and I would like to be back here. But right now, they don't have that idea.
Okay.
They're disappointed, just like there are many who are disappointed. So I am looking at what the prize is. For me, there's a goal to say, bring Amherst back to where I grew up, and what my expectations were when I moved back here 16 years ago.
Now that sounds like purpose, because when she came up with the purpose, the goal, she also came up with the end result, the gift. The gift would be able to recognize Amherst as a place to remember and have a desire to come back to. You know what I mean? That's the gift. You know, what would be the prize at the end of the race? But she also talked about the purpose at the beginning of the race, which would be able to create a relationship or a sense of community within Amherst that will create a desire for people that leave want to come back because they have something great to remember to want to come back to. You know, so there you goes your purpose, and there goes your prize at the end. You know.
And we have a lot of new people. We have a lot of newly arrived folks that come here with a promise
Right.
of some other things. So how do you combine, right?
But their goal right now is different. They came into a society and a community that already had all of this established. But what I realize is that their prize is not my
Same.
prize.
Right.
It's not
No,
my
I agree.
focus. So I'm seeing in a different way that their prize is not in my neighborhood, not community-wise. I don't have to do this. It's my place that I came here to retire, and this is the best place. But if this was all there, and this was all built before, so therefore we really like that. For those of us who've lived here and have moved here or teach here, work here, this is what we want. We want to keep it, but at the same time, I see groups who are just saying, "Oh, this is just for me, and it's not for you." Whether it's low-income housing, whether it's energy, everyone has their opinion, and that's a great thing about Amherst.
Right.
But at the same time, when you're talking about that price, where are you looking to work together to keep it constant for all of those who want to come back? Whether you were a student, some of my clients are students before, they've come back to the valley and they want to see the progress. They don't want to see it stunted. So I worry about what the prize is going to be in the end and who is the prize going to be for. So how do we work together on that same lane?
Right.
Even though it's going to come back around, but is it going to come back around for you?
Given that comment, what I would suggest is that what's required, I think, because people have their particular thing that they're most committed to, whatever that happens to be. Or maybe they have a couple of different things that they're committed to. But I think it's important, as we think of the community as a whole, is to have that breadth of perspective about other things other people want, so that when we have the debate, that we don't devalue those other wants or needs or whatever, as we strike the balance to try to come to a place that we can, all get something from. But it's unlikely that we'll all be perfectly happy, because there'll be things that we would want changed or that we like more than something else, and other people like something else more than the thing we like the best. And so that dynamic, that interaction is critical, and having people understand each other's sort of points of view is critical to getting to a place where people are even in disagreement, understanding of one another, and able to then think positively about it, as opposed to kind of a them versus us, I think. So I think that having a breadth of perspective is important for everybody, because of the varying things that people like or dislike or want more than other things. And as you talk about sort of reasons to come back or reasons to stay or reason to take action or not, those are things I think that are helpful for people to know, is the broader that they know about more things and more people's points of view and things they consider important, then the better they are at understanding their own points of view and then how those interact with each other.
That's it. That's the question.
Yes. Based on what's been said so far, and just kind of hearing what everybody's saying, it looks like the end prize would be a sense of common ground through healthy collaboration. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because what's a community? A community is pretty much a sense of healthy communication, where everybody is pretty much communicating from regardless of where you stand and what options you bring to the table. Your option is equally valuable to bring to the community as well as yours or anybody else's. You know, it's not a sense of superiority or an inferiority that would break apart a community. But so if Amherst was a race, then the race would have to have a purpose, and if that purpose is a sense of community, or how do we restructure community for a sense of a desire to remember presently and also have a desire to come back to, then it would definitely have it would have to be through collaboration, healthy, non-toxic collaboration. You know, I agree to disagree. You know what I mean? But I also agree to agree. You know, and from either perspective, it comes out where we're in agreement. Even in our disagreement, we're agreeing. You know, and everybody's happy. You know, so no matter how we approach it, the end prize would definitely be from a non-toxic standpoint. You know, so even though we're all eyes, it's more like from an approach of we're all independent, but through interdependence within our independence, we were able to collaborate and reach a common ground. You know what I mean? And collaborate in a way where the community is, as a whole, is pretty much thriving because whether we agree or disagree, we still agree. Guess that one on the way home.
Well, I have to say that if that was a prize by the end of the race, then it has to, a sense of belongingness for diverse community, very diverse community, has to have a sense of belongingness. And
Right.
that will come with a lot of things like community, the connectedness, and services, which we are losing every year in Amherst.
So businesses,
Services,
right.
and also the schools are losing the programs. So and those are the very crucial. Like what was it? The auto consumer department. So many kids
Yes.
do not have time how to pay for getting their driving license and any insight into it. So those are the programs we are losing, and certain part of our community is suffering more than others. And that belongingness is getting the gap is getting wider because of that.
So the race would
Sports
be
is another area
right.
where we are losing, and when people have to pay for certain sports to play in the town, that's another gap for the students. They have to pull back. So the belongingness has many parts to it.
Right, which
And
makes it good.
Some parts we understand much better, but if that is the price we are looking into at the end of the race, we have to shorten the gap. Otherwise, we do not have the price by the end of the race.
You had started to talk about the schools, and you were talking about purpose before, and I feel like now that I've been in high school for 4 years, I think that many of the kids in the school don't have a purpose. They don't know what they're racing for, but they do know that they're racing, which sets up this confusing structure, and because there's such an urgency to succeed and whatever that means, but is the purpose to leave Amherst or is it to stay here? Because I think a lot of high school students wouldn't know. I mean, a lot of them, I hear a lot of students say that they want to get out of here as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And for some kids, that's not an option, and for other kids, it is. And so when I hear race and I think about the schools, I think it worries me because I know that racing without knowing why you're racing, once you become self-aware of that, it can be deeply troubling and confusing, and then there's no, like you were saying, purpose behind any of your actions.
Yeah, I want to go on with what you're saying there, because I think, I don't know if things have changed in Amherst over the past couple of decades or what, but I moved here 20 years ago. We moved here because we checked out different neighborhoods and hoods and places to move to. We were coming from New York City. We were looking for a place that appreciated diversity in the streets. I wanted to see kids of color, white kids mixed up together, and everybody was, and I sort of saw a little bit of that in the streets. My wife and I saw that and felt okay about it. As I've gotten here, I think that we're not quite as appreciative, and the mixture isn't quite as blended as much as we thought. And I think that goes for all elements of the community. I think that I don't think there's a level of honesty that's missing. We go into the schools, I think, and you're talking about the vocational, talking about sports and things like that. I think we've so devalued some groups of, and we've really valued certain groups. We've really valued advanced placement. We've really valued you're going to a top-ranked four-year college, and you've reached that. We've devalued vocational work. As a community, we said it's not quite as important. So if that's your interest, you can live in our community, and we appreciate you being here because we will need some service people, but we're not going to educate you. You should go to another program. We really can't. Our concern is for higher level. We want to make sure that you're college prep ready. And if that's not your path as a student, I think as a student you feel devalued. Hey, I'm really not considered as important in this community as this person who's on a working toward their college prep or working for advanced placement, honors courses, that sort of thing. So I think there is a judgment within the community of who's better, basically, and who's more respected and who's less respected. And until we sort of get over that sort of like hypocrisy of education in a certain sense, it's like a certain level. I think it's pretty tough to come together and communicate. I do think everybody's point. I agree with you. Everybody's points of view that would be a level of success. If everybody felt that they had a voice in the community and that was being responded to, I mean, I think that's probably tough anywhere. But if that was a goal, I think that's a worthy goal, and I feel like we would win if if community members could feel comfortable coming to that town hall meeting or showing up in an association, and having their voice said and respected, without sort of being judged as, well, yeah, I understand you've got your issues or you've got your issues, but we are Amherst and we don't want business in Amherst and that sort of thing.